सत्यं परं धीमहि। ओम सत्यं परं धीमहि। ओम सत्यं परं धीमहि। ओम सत्यं परं धीमहि। ओम सत्यं परं धीमहि।
Do we realize that we live in two worlds at the same time, simultaneously? That we live in the outer world of events and the inner world of states. What is more important? The outer world of events or my inner state? What is more important? Inner state. So where does all our attention go? How many of us have looked inside today? How many of us have looked inside today? How many of us have brought some light into the inner unconscious mind today? How many of us know what thoughts pass through the mind today? You know what events happen from morning to evening. You know what you had for breakfast. You know what you had for lunch. But what were you thinking when you had lunch? Nobody knows. This is a state of inner blindness. You're all blind inside. We keep on doing things outside. We do pujas and ceremonies and all sorts of things, but nothing changes inside. The inner darkness remains the same. And unless that changes, everything is useless. The blind person is born and the blind person dies. Do you remember what you were thinking in the last 5 minutes? What inner states you went through in the last 5 minutes? Can you see this total absence of light inside? Spirituality is not doing something outside. Unless you can bring consciousness inside, what is happening inside from morning to evening? That will bring about the change. But we are sitting over here, even now we don't know what is going on inside. The monkey is chattering all the time. There's a constant inner chatter. How many of us want to work on that chatter? How many of us are working to calm that chatter? And it cannot be calmed by any outside means. Unless the light of attention goes inside, it will not calm down. And all our attention is seduced outside in the events of life. Life is a string of events, a stream of events. And one event comes, we are hypnotized by it. The next event comes, we are hypnotized by it, and life goes on. And inside there is darkness. Spirituality is not concerned with the outside. It is concerned whether there is light inside. And it takes years of hard work to take the light of attention inside. So we live in two worlds simultaneously. The world outside of events, the world inside of states. કઈ સ્થિતિમાં અંદર છું? બહાર ઘટનાની પ્રવાહ ચાલે છે, અંદર સ્થિતિઓ બદલાતી જાય છે. અને એક પણ સ્થિતિ મારા હાથની વાત નથી. જેમ ઘટના બદલાતી જાય, અંદરની સ્થિતિ બદલાતી જાય છે. જાણે કે ઘટનાથી હિપ્નોટાઇઝ જ હું. અંદર તો કોઈ છે જ નહીં જે અંદરની સ્થિતિ જોઈ શકે છે. અંધકાર છે. અને આ સ્થિતિ એ ધૃતરાષ્ટ્રની સ્થિતિ છે. બહારની શું કહેવાય, બ્લાઇન્ડનેસ નથી, અંદરની. તો એની માટે આપણે શું કરશું? કોણ આ યાત્રા કરવા તૈયાર છે? બહાર તો બધું કરવા તૈયાર છે. આપણે દીવો પેટાવશું ને પૂજા કરશું ને આ કરશું ને જે કંઈ માંગવું હશે ભગવાન પાસે માંગી લઈશું. Will it change anything inside? Will it stop the inner chatterbox from chattering for even a single second? Not change anything inside. That can only come from hard personal effort. બોલો. So these આ જે બે દુનિયા છે, બહારની દુનિયા, અંદરની દુનિયા. બહારની દુનિયામાં ઘટના, અંદરની દુનિયામાં સ્થિતિઓ. ચલો હવે we were going to do question answers today. Yes sir, yes sir.
Can we completely dissociate ourselves from the outside world?
No, we cannot disassociate ourselves from the outside world. We come to an inner state where we realize the outer is not separate from the inner. But at present there is darkness inside. And our aim in life should be to bring light inside. And to bring light inside, the only way is if we send the arrow of attention inside, if we start observing inside. There is no other way. Nobody can wave a wand and change the inside. Then a point comes where we realize why things are happening outside. We don't realize why. We don't even know the cause behind events. Everything in our life just happens. We cannot see the causes. The causes lie inside. The mystery of life is inside. I'm not saying it is not outside. I was with Swami Ramdulare, and once he was having a camp, he was staying in Dwarka. And at the same time that Ramdulare Bapu was in Dwarka, Osho was having a camp in Dwarka. So Osho used to have this board outside his camp where the thought for today would be written. The thought for today, Ajno Subh Vichar. So the thought for today is that God is within you, don't search for Him outside. That was the thought. Paramatma bhitar hai, usse bahar dhundo mat. So Ramdulare Bapu was going for a walk. And he saw this, so he took a piece of chalk and he cancelled it. Paramatma sarvatra hai, usse dhunde hi kyun? And then of course, Swami Brahmavedanji says, जब तक ढूंढने वाला है तब तक परमात्मा नहीं है. So the outside and the inside. But the practical is that we have to take our attention inside, because then we'll see the relationship between the inside and the outside. What is the cause for events in life? In our lives, what is the cause of suffering? Why does an event bring me suffering? Can I be free of that suffering? Can I separate from that suffering? Can I realize something within me that cannot suffer at all? That is the goal. That is the aim. Right? So outer is not separate from. Yes, sir.
I have several questions for today, but
Yeah.
I'll ask only one.
Thank you. I thought I'd have a holiday today, but he's a very hard taskmaster.
Swamiji, recently I attended funerals of one of the people I knew quite well as another person I didn't know that well. I believe in the latter part of their life, they got to a stage where they could not, while they were still alive, they could not identify people, they could not recognize people, etc. What is happening within that particular soul body?
The use of the instruments is not possible. No? The soul uses instruments, the mind. The mind is an instrument. Now the mind is not working properly, it is grown old. Maybe plaque has gathered in the brain, we don't know. What they call mad cow. But the use is not there. But if a person has what you call worked on himself, and if he has realized some kind of self-consciousness, maybe the brain does not work so well, but that does not mean he does not have the self-consciousness. I'll give you one example. That with Swami Ramdulare Bapu, I travelled all over India. And he took me to Belur Math, where the Ramakrishna Ashram is. And at that time, Vivekananda's last living disciple was there. And he was living, so he said, we'll go and do his darshan. The last living disciple of Swami Vivekananda. So, we went and he was in a coma. So they put him on a chair. He's in a coma. And people would come in a line and have darshan and go away. And of course, I was with Swami Ramdulare Bapu, so he fell at his feet. It didn't strike me. I was a reasoning person. It didn't strike me. I said, how can you fall at this piece of vegetable? He's in a coma. How can you... So, he fell at his feet. He's my guru, so I fell at his feet. Right? From inside, of course, I was fighting it. And we went ahead. Many years later, my teacher started teaching me how to work in sleep, how to work in the dreams. And I realized that consciousness can separate from the functions of the brain. Consciousness can separate from the functions of the mind. Consciousness can close down the working of the five senses. So even if all that is stopped, you can still be conscious inside. And I went back to that incident. And I said that, what a mistake I made. I mean, I was having darshan of the last living disciple of Vivekananda. But just because I had some concept in my mind that the brain is not working, maybe the mind is not working. Of course, I did bow down to him like everybody else, but the inner did not accept it. But the realization came much later, many, many years later. So consciousness is something which is not a part of the brain, not a part of the mind. It observes the mind. It can be separate from the workings of the mind. But only for a person who has worked to do this. For a normal person who has not separated his consciousness, with the death of the brain there will be death of consciousness. You understand what I'm saying? And the second thing is that a time came when we were studying the Yoga-Sutras. So, one of the commentaries on the Brahma Sutra at that time which I saw was by Swami Vireshwaran, the same person. And I was reading it and I said that if this person has written this commentary, definitely I can see that, I can feel that he has realized a very high state inside. Of course, there was no guilt or anything, but within me I realized that at that point in life I did something without light. And that happens in our lives. Right? So, I don't know if that's answered your question.
Sir,
Yes.
we just discussed about a person being in a coma. Is the seer still in the coma? Is the seer in the person that's in the coma?
That is what I was trying to tell him, that a person who has worked for separation, right? Now the brain has stopped working, but he's still the seer of the brain. But a person who is identified with the brain functions, like we are, we have not worked for it, right? So, if we are identified with the brain functions, then with the death of the brain there is no seer. Understand what I'm trying to say? When we go to sleep at night, the brain nearly stops working. The mind is still working. Right? So, if we can separate our consciousness, at least we can observe the functions of the brain, that the brain is in a state of suspension. Slowly we can separate our consciousness from the mind. What is happening in the mind? Is the mind having thought content? Is it having dream content? What is happening in the mind? What is the content of the mind? And that which is watching is separate from all this. It is awakened from all this. And that is our goal, our aim. Right? It must happen in this lifetime. Right? And we have very little time left to really do it. Very little time left. Yes?
People between the ages of 80 and 90 or even more, they lose their, like I said, they become confused. Why does it happen in certain people and why others can be totally aware of themselves, totally aware of what's happening around them till the end? And why some of them lose it quite early. Or how do you prepare yourself for old age where you can have your senses till the end? Is there something that you can do, something that you can practice to keep that awareness at all times till death?
Let's keep awareness on the side. Because man cannot hold awareness for more than a few seconds. Even if I ask you to hold it now, within a second you will forget to hold it. So that requires something called abhyas, constant effort to hold that state of awareness. But we can keep the instruments healthy, can't we? Yesterday I talked about the different energies. Right? If there's right use of energy, then the instrument will remain healthy. Right? I go to a gym, right, to work on the muscles of the body, to keep the body supple. But can I do something for the brain to keep the brain supple? So the brain can be exercised every day. And then it remains supple. It remains adaptable. It remains receptive to new knowledge. That can be done. What I'll do this time is I have a series of exercises called Brain Gym. I'll take it in the youth workshop. Okay? So we just go, and it's a beautiful set of exercises, and this lady, she comes in my camp. She comes from London actually, whenever I have a camp for children, to teach them these exercises. And they're very, very simple exercises, and the guru, I don't remember his name, her guru, and he worked a lot with people in coma. Right? With people in coma, and one of the exercises which he developed is called the cross crawl. The cross crawl. So what he would go to hospitals and people in coma, he would make them he would make them do an exercise. That means he would lift one hand and put it on one knee, the cross across, and put it back there, and take the other hand and put it on, and he's recorded his findings. You see? Left brain, right brain, left brain, right brain. That just by doing the cross crawl, you're exercising both the sides of the brain. And he's recorded his findings, how people have come out very fast from coma just because of this one simple exercise. So then he developed a set of exercises to exercise the brain, which can be done in 10 minutes every day. So I'll take them in one of the youth workshops. It's good youth. We've got a topic to also talk about.
And what causes anger in some old people? And when I say anger, it's real anger. Is it just frustration or is it something else?
I don't think this question should come at all.
But you see it all the time.
See, unless a person has worked on himself, the anger is already there in us. A person's muscles tell the story of how much anger is lying in the subconscious mind, unconscious mind. Up to a certain age, people are able to suppress it. There's a whole, what you call, our culture, our education, our right etiquette and everything that we do to suppress what is, wild within us. At a certain age, it cannot be suppressed any longer and it starts filtering out into the conscious mind. It does not mean I do not have that anger, but I can show outside that I don't have the anger. So everybody is an angry person, whether they say it or not. Right? The muscles tell how much of anger, the muscular tension is directly related to the amount of anger I'm holding in my unconscious mind. And the day I'm free of anger, there's no tension in any muscle. If you study statues in temples, one of the things which those old sculptors have put in is muscular tension. And they have done this so beautifully, so beautifully. Now if you see a statue of Mahavir, there is a subtle tension in his muscles. But if you see a statue of Buddha, there is no tension in any of the muscles. Does that mean that Mahavir had not experienced truth? Does that mean that Mahavir had anger lying in his subconscious or unconscious mind? No, we cannot say that. He definitely was free from all that. But it tells a story about the person. Right? So Mahavir's whole path was the path of sankalpa. Sankalpa, the path of will. And where there's the path of will, there has to be a subtle underlying tension. Right? The path of will. Whereas Buddha's was the path of surrender. So where there is the path of surrender, there can be no underlying tensions. Right? So when you study these statues in the old temples, like there's two forms of art. I'm going into something else now. But there is subjective art and there is objective art. Subjective art is where the artist puts what is in his mind on the paper. I'm very fond of classical art and Renaissance art. So whenever I get a time, I go to galleries and I view these pieces. And usually every year the US trip takes about 2 months. So out of that I take about 4 or 5 days and I go to one uncle of mine in Canada. He's an artist. and a famous artist. His paintings are sold by both Sotheby's and Christie's, and modern artist. And when I see his paintings, it's all nonsense. And I tell him, what is this? Right? And then I try to discuss some of and my favorites are of course Vermeer, and I try to discuss them. Saying, nay, that's all nonsense. You see, so there's subjective art. The artist puts what he's feeling, right, onto there is objective art. Objective art is of a different quality. The pyramids are of objective art. The Sphinx is objective art. What is in Khajuraho is an objective art. Right? The sun temples in Konark is objective art. Now, objective art is not what is in the mind of the artist or the sculptor. Right? It is, he's putting something that the person who sees it, by seeing it, he's thrown into a certain state. It will depend on his level of receptivity and understanding. Like I said just a few days ago, there's a book of mathematics. The more I understand mathematics, the deeper I'll be able to go into the book. So, objective art is of a different kind. It creates a state in the observer. The artist is not interested in putting his thoughts, his feelings, his impressions, his ideas onto the canvas. Right? And that is of a different kind. Second thing, in subjective art, everybody who looks at a modern piece of art will have a different story to tell. Right? Of course, in modern art, there is the school of Cubism. And Picasso was an exponent of Cubism. And Cubism is that everything is divided into small cubes. And it's a beautiful concept. That we say, you take the part out of the whole remains the whole. And you put the whole into the whole cannot increase anything. The part is the whole. So the small cube of the nose is the whole. So the whole canvas, this is one of the styles of modern art. It's called Cubism. And they make the paintings in different cubes. And so you see the cube as a part and you see the cube as a whole. Right? But still modern art will have every person who sees the same work of art will have different feelings about that art. But an objective piece of art, everybody will have the same feeling, only the intensity of feeling will differ according to the level of being, the level of receptivity, the level of consciousness. So there are two different kinds of art. So when you see these statues of Mahavir and Buddha, it is objective art. That objective art tells you the whole story. And when you go to some of these places, it's so perfect they've been. So perfect. That if you go to Khajuraho, now there are 32 meridians in the body. Each meridian is connected with certain points. There was in China there was an emperor called the Yellow Emperor. And the Yellow Emperor one day in his sort of dream state, half dream state, he saw that his body was breathing through 700 openings. He was not just breathing from the mouth, he was breathing through 700 openings. Chidra, body ni andar 700 chidra માંથી એ શ્વાસ લેતો હતો. એને એવો દેખાય એને ખબર પડી. Then he started joining those 700 points and he came up with 32 meridians. Now, Chinese yoga is different from Indian yoga. Because in Indian yoga we talk about nadis. In Chinese yoga they talk about meridians. And Chinese yoga is very deep, very deep. Just as our yoga is very deep, theirs is also, the approach is a different kind of approach. That's also a long story how that in yoga can done. We have time today. What's the time? Yeah. Okay, 6 more minutes. Okay. So he saw and he joined this and he found 32 meridians, and out of this the whole of acupressure and acupuncture was born. It was from that state of the Yellow Emperor. So the original book is called the Yellow Emperor's Book of Internal Medicine. The Yellow Emperor's book. Yeah. These meridians are used in Chinese yoga. So when you go to these statues of Khajuraho, you will see that, they're statues of male and female. But the hand of the female is at a certain point, and these points are not, they're very scientific points. Exact point where the meridian is releasing a certain energy. You get it? Now, supposing we say this is one meridian in the body, it's called the triple warmer. Triple warmer. So, there are 3 fires. Here, the upper story fire, the middle story fire, the lower story fire. Now, she's pressing that exact point which fire she wants to increase. Can you see the objectivity of that art? Now, this art is of a different quality. This art is of a different quality. Now, there are what we call as bhav. 12 different emotions as bhav. So, we say that the sun changes its house every month. Right? So, these are 12 bhavs, what we call the 12 houses of astrology. Now, each of these bhavs expresses something. I'm in a generous mood, a jolly mood, I want to give, right? So that bhav is coming from Jupiter, right? But I want to, I'm in a cunning mood, right? And I want to maybe cheat on income tax or something of that sort, right? So that bhav is coming from Mercury. So each of our inner states is related to these 12 houses. Each of these inner states are related to the 12 houses. Now, just see these paintings, these sculptures. She's pressing a certain point, he is in a certain state, and the person who has drawn that statue, he has made the face in a certain form. Now, if it is a long form, the nose is long, then it is a lunar type. Then he's saying that the bhav evoked is of the moon. You get it? But it is a small round face, then the bhav evoked is of Mercury. See, this is how you study people. That which vibration have they come from? What is their original vibration? The eyes, the nose, they all tell you something. What is the predominating vibration in that person? Right? Similarly, in these statues, they have done it so objectively. Now, there is no personal, whim or personal thought or personal, put into those statues. It's pure science. And still, when you see those statues, it takes you to a different state, a higher state. We'll have to finish, but I'll just tell you a little about Chinese yoga. It's a beautiful story. Taoism, the first guru of Taoism was Lao Tse. And Lao Tse lived in China around the same time that what you call Buddha lived in India and Mahavir lived in India and Pythagoras in Greece. Right? Heraclitus and Pythagoras in Greece. It was a time when the world was full of these, enlightened teachers. We know Pythagoras just because of his mathematical theorem. We don't see him as a great guru who ran a school in those days. He ran an ashram. And the king came and he killed everybody in the ashram. And one disciple escaped. All the others were killed. And he wrote a small book, The Golden Verses of Pythagoras. And his name was Lysis, but he does not sign his name. He signed his guru's name on the book. Anyway, Lao Tse was the teacher of Taoism, and Lao Tse, he lived to be 160, so he was leaving the kingdom. He said he wants to take samadhi. And he was leaving the kingdom, and he came to the border of the kingdom, China, and there the guard stopped him. Now that guard who stopped him, he himself was a sun worshipper, like we were talking about Gayatri. He was a sun worshipper. He came from a line of sun worshippers. Right? And he told Lao Tse that your whole life you have spoken, but you have never written down anything. And he put, the story goes that he put Lao Tse in jail for 3 days. And he said, you better write something, then I'll let you go into the Himalayas to take samadhi. You better write something. So Lao Tse wrote those 80 verses which are called as Tao Te King. Tao, on which now there are 80,000 commentaries. And he wrote these verses, and this person, he gave it to this person, and that is why we have that beautiful book, Tao Te King, which is of Lao Tse. This person who got the book, he then went on to write the first book of Chinese yoga, which is a beautiful book, and that is The Secret of the Golden Flower. There's a Richard William translation, a Westerner has translated, and he's done an excellent job of translating with a foreword by Carl Jung. And there he has explained, but the only problem in that book is that in the 4th or 5th chapter he comes to a point of rhythmic breathing, which we are teaching. And he comes to the point of rhythmic breathing, and then the book takes a sudden turn. And one can understand that later on Buddhism came to China. And when Buddhism came, Buddhism itself was a non-violent religion. But it had a byproduct of violence, that many of the ancient Chinese texts were rewritten in the light of Buddhism. You get what I'm trying to say? So the old text was lost, and it was rewritten with putting in Buddhist precepts. And this was the violence which Buddhism did. And so we only have half that text. The other it has to come out from inside. But it's a beautiful book, if you can read that book. So that is, the Chinese yoga was born out of that book, The Secret of the Golden Flower. And I remember I wanted to read it in college, and I used to get pocket money when I was in college, 50 rupees a month. Right? And it is out of those 50 rupees that I started saving a little bit of money, and I was able to buy that book at that time. So it's very precious to read that book, The Secret of the Golden Flower. So, I don't know. It's 9 o'clock. Anything else? Let's stop over here. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna. Good night. Close your eyes. Breathe with the music. Feel the breath as it moves in and out. Try to hold the feeling of the breath. The breath merges with the blood and moves throughout the body. Feel this movement throughout the body. We use our attention to relax the body. Take your attention to the head. Relax the head. Relax the forehead. The two eyes, around the eyes, the ears, the nose, the two cheeks. There's a lot of tension in the cheeks. Relax the cheeks. Use your attention. The two lips. Inside the mouth, the tongue, the gums, the teeth. The chin. Loosen the jawbone. Jadbu dhiru chhodi de. Loosen the jawbone. Relax the neck. The two shoulders. There's a lot of tension in the shoulders. Relax the shoulders. The two hands. The back. The chest. The stomach. The two legs. The whole body is now relaxed. Totally relaxed. There's no movement in the body. Just the breath moving in and out. शरीर बिल्कुल relaxed है. कोई तरंग नहीं, खाली श्वास अंदर और बाहर जाए છે. In that empty space, एक खाली जगहની અંદર, fill it with your own being, your own presence. Say, I have come home. હું ઘરે આવી ગયો છું. આ શરીરની અંદર ઘરે આવી ગયો છું. Feel the presence of your presence. The weight of it, and vajan, any hajri, and hoapro, its being. It is everything. I am there. When I am, all worries, all tensions, all thoughts of past and future drop. હું છું, હું હાજર છું, કોઈ ચિંતા નથી, સમયની ગતિ નથી, ખાલી છું. Feel the breath as it moves in and feel your presence. Try to hold both the feelings together. બંને સંવેદનાને એક સાથે ધારણ કરવાની કોશિશ કરો. Hold both the feelings. Breath is in the present moment. It is time. Presence is in eternity. શ્વાસ વર્તમાન ક્ષણમાં છે. હાજરી શાશ્વતતામાં છે. આ બંનેનું મિલન છે. Presence and present. This is yoga, the meeting between God and His creation. Purush and Prakriti, Shiva and Shakti. hold both the feelings together. Slowly the music will switch off. Keep holding the two feelings together. We are together for 1.25 hours. Try to hold your presence throughout this 1.25 hours. I am God. Slowly open. Jai Shri Krishna. Good evening. We were talking about impressions. We'll continue that tomorrow or day after. Today, I want to in between take in self-pity. And what comes out of self-pity, that is internal considering. I'll just write it on the board so it can easy for us. Both these states go together. Self-pity and internal considering. Where I consider myself. Internal considering. Self-pity is the biggest disease, the greatest disease which affects mankind. And the beauty of it is that we don't know about it. It is worse than any physical disease. It is worse than cancer. Can we just grasp this concept? Self-pity એટલે આત્મદયા. વાત એમ છે કે આખા મનુષ્ય જાતિની અંદર જે સૌથી ગહેરો કોઈ રોગ હોય તો એ આત્મદયાનો રોગ છે. આજે થોડી એની વાત કરીએ, પછી આગળ જઈને એની ગહેરાઈમાં એ જશે, પણ થોડુંક એક ઉપર છલું તમને થોડું બતાવી દઉં. Can we grasp this concept that the soul, the essence, it seeks a physical body, it seeks a physical birth for a certain purpose. It comes into a school, and that is the school of life. And it comes with a certain purpose, and that purpose is to be free of life. જે જીવ છે એ એક સ્થૂળ શરીર શોધે છે, અને એ સ્થૂળ શરીર શોધવા પાછળનું જે એમનું કારણ છે, જે એનું લક્ષ્ય, કારણ નહીં કહું, લક્ષ્ય જે છે, the aim, કે એ આ જીવનની પાઠશાલામાં એની માટે આવે છે કે જીવનમાંથી મુક્ત થાય. That is the only purpose for which the soul takes birth. There is no other purpose. how does it get freedom? How does the soul get freedom? It needs a certain kind of food. And it gets this food from life. And in taking this food from life, it transforms that food so that it can attain freedom. This is the aim, this is the purpose for which we have taken birth. The beauty of it is that instead of it serving its purpose, instead of it, the soul finding freedom, it goes through a life of 70 or 80 or 90 years and finds more bondage. એક જીવ છે એ જીવનની પાઠશાલામાં એ લક્ષ્ય લઈને આવે છે મુક્તિનો, કે જીવનમાંથી મારે મુક્તિ જોઈએ છે. પણ જીવનમાંથી મુક્તિ મેળવવાની તો એક બાજુ વાત રહી, પણ જ્યારે એ જીવ છૂટે છે ત્યારે એ વધારે બંધનમાં છૂટે છે. જે લક્ષ્ય લઈને આવેલો એના કરતા ઉલટું થયું. And this is the story with everyone. We have forgotten why we are here. Now, how does life come in? In which form does life come in? Life comes in as an event. It comes in through the five senses. Life is a moving series of events. जीवन एक घटनानी हारमाळा છે. Each moment life is coming into the five senses and entering the psychic structure as an event. Can we see that everything depends on our reaction to the event? So there are two things, the event coming in and what is my reaction to the event. જે ઘટના અંદર આવે છે અને એ ઘટના પ્રત્યે મારું અંદર પ્રતિક્રિયા શું છે, રિએક્શન શું છે. Do I get hypnotized by the event? Then life has not served its purpose. We say that life is a drama. We say that life is a leela. But each moment, is it a drama? Or have I forgotten that I've come here to play this role? In the old days, there was one movie, Anne of the Thousand Days. And Richard Burton was acting the role of Henry VIII. Was acting the role of Henry VIII. And after the movie was made, Richard Burton said that for 3 months he forgot that he was Richard Burton. He would eat his breakfast, he would think King Henry VIII is eating his breakfast. And he would go out on the street, he would forget that he's Richard Burton, he would think the king is walking on the street. We've forgotten that we've come here for only one purpose, to be free of life. We cannot see that what suffering we are going through, જે પીડામાંથી આપણે પસાર થઈ રહ્યા છે, it has been induced by outside events. જે પીડા છે એનું કારણ બહાર છે. Now, this is hypnosis. I suffer because of an outside event. A combination of things outside. This is useless suffering. But we keep on suffering. Something happens in our lives and we keep on suffering. And we don't realize that we are going deeper into the hypnosis of life. We have forgotten why we are here. We cannot see that every event that makes us suffer, હરેક ઘટના જે આપણને પીડા આપે છે, at the very moment that we are suffering, જે ક્ષણે આપણે પીડામાંથી પસાર થઈ રહ્યા છે, that very event is being shared by millions of other people. It is not our event. Somebody close to me has died. I am suffering. Just yesterday somebody sent me an SMS. My mother died, this, that, I can't do this now, you please. And they cannot see that this is a typical event in life. At the very moment she died, the very same event is being shared by so many people. Life is cruel. Life is harsh. Life can be very terrible. But what is our aim? Is our aim freedom or is our aim bondage? And when we realize that this same event is being shared by so many people, then we realize the smallness of our suffering. Our suffering has no place in this. Suffer, but use that suffering as a step for freedom. Don't get bogged down in the suffering. Separate from the suffering. Use that suffering for an increase of consciousness. Yeah.
How is one event shared by so many people?
It is a typical event. Every event is a typical event. If I am angry on my son, it is a typical event. The very moment I am angry, so many other people are sharing the same event. At the same time. When God made man, I say He made all the events possible, put them in a bag and hanged it over here. He hung up the bag over there. And I'm wondering why this event is coming to meet me. And all these events we don't see, as long as they come to meet me, I'm going to suffer. Right? But if I can take the personal out, so then I'm free of suffering. The very idea to come here is to be free of suffering. What is the point in coming into this drama of life if we don't work towards that? Of course, the ideal situation would be that the most terrible event, we be free from it, but this is asking for real bitter medicine. It's not possible. But can we start with the small events in life? Forget the big events. Forget the terrible events. Forget the harsh events. The small events in life. Can we start with that? ઘણી ઘટનાઓ ક્રૂર હોય છે. ઘણી ઘટનાઓ મોટી હોય છે, પીડાદાયક હોય છે. તો તમને હું કહું કે ભાઈ એમાંથી મુક્ત થાઓ તો એ તો બહુ કડવી દવા પીવા જેવી વાત છે. પણ નાની નાની ઘટનાઓ ઉપર તો કોશિશ કરીએ. The trivial events of life. Now we must understand this, which I've been repeating, is that every event is attracted by us. Nothing happens as a coincidence. It is our being which attracts life. That means life is simply events of different kinds on different scales. So we have learned a magic. The highest magic is not to be identified. That is the biggest magic we can learn. સૌથી highest જે આપણે જાદુ શીખી શકીએ કે જે ઘટના આવે એમાં આપણે ખેંચાઈએ નહીં, હિપ્નોટાઇઝ ન થાય. હવે જે નોર્મલ માણસ છે, the mechanical man of life, he cannot do this because he does not observe inside how he is taking the event. What is my reaction to the event? Am I observing inside? how I am reacting to each event. We cannot change the events of life. We can only change our reactions to them.
So does that mean that your reaction shapes your life?
Reaction shapes your life. Reaction is the seed which you sow for the future event. And if you can change how you react to the event you have brought in consciousness, you're free from the event. The event is not dictating the reaction. Thus now we are slaves to each event. We do not realize that to each event we can react in so many different ways. But the first thing is, unless between the receiving of an event and the inner reaction, we have to bring in consciousness. This is all that spirituality is about. There is no big deal about spirituality. This is all that. Do you want this freedom? Freedom not to be dictated by life. If a person begins to see, जो मनुष्य ने ख्याल आवी क्यों, कि he can change his reaction, then he is no longer a servant of life, no longer dictated by life. He is free. And the only way is to observe your reactions. Only way is by bringing in the light of attention, taking in the light of attention and observing our reactions. Life is a drama. All events, even the most cruel events, sauthi krur ghatna apne ganiye, all events are just material for inner growth. Ram Dulare Bapu used to say, प्राणी मात्र साधक है और हर परिस्थिति साधना है. Man is only an inner seeker, and every event in life is a stepping stone to that inner freedom. Now, try to understand self-pity. That if an event of life comes and I get caught in the tragedy of the event, and then I start complaining, then I start blaming outside circumstances, right? Then I'm going deeper and deeper into the tragedy of the event. So, unless I can separate from the event is going to catch me. It will send me into a state of depression. I start complaining. I start blaming other people. And then this vicious cycle throws me in a continuous process where I come into self-pity. And once I'm in self-pity, poor old me, life is not treating me well, I can never get out of it. See, people come, I meet people, and the first thing I see in a person is how much of self-pity is there. It's not worth working on a person who is holding a big baggage of self-pity. We call him an irreparable machine. This machine cannot be repaired. It's gone. This life is over. Now, try to see that at the point of reception of an event, what is my aim? What is my aim? My aim is to be conscious. Now, if I expect an event of a certain kind, can I be conscious? It's not possible. It's not possible. As long as I expect the event to be good, as long as I expect the event to bring happiness, I cannot be conscious. See, our aim is not that an event should be painful or not painful. An event should be sad or happy. Our aim is whatever is the event, we want to be conscious. And that means not worrying about whether the event is going to bring pain or happiness. Only then, unless we can be free at this point, we cannot bring in consciousness, whatever we try. Am I coming across this? ज्ञान सुधी अंदर see, some people, they will be supported by life. They have a good life. Some people have a bad life, what we call a bad life, harsh life. But for a person, the person who is walking on the path, it makes no difference. Whether it's good or bad, his goal is consciousness. If today I am asking that please bring a good event, whether it is God I am asking, whether I am asking the deity in the temple, whether I am praying for something good to happen tomorrow, then my aim is not consciousness. I don't know if I am coming across this. Then I've forgotten my aim in life. You see, there is yagna karma and there is kamya karma. That is karma born of desire and karma which is born free of desire. It's not good for me to comment on something, but supposing I am doing it for a personal, if my personal comes in, then it is always kamya karma. It is always kamya karma. And I want my personal happiness. Right? Supposing I am doing a puja to open a new shop, it is for my personal happiness. The very idea of doing the puja is wrong. The puja was created to free you from the shop. I don't know, am I coming across this? The very idea of creating the yagna was to free you from the shop. But you go into the yagna to have a good shop and bring in prosperity. Can you see the whole, how we've gone on the wrong path totally? And the very idea that tomorrow my shops should prosper or my factory should prosper, that is the very cause, that very inner desire is the cause for absence of consciousness. Cannot be there. These are the harsh truths of spirituality. And we keep on. It's not you. People, I go everywhere. I had one very cruel case where there was this couple and they had a distant relative. And the relative, she had no one in life. She was very old. And she called these two, and they were living very far away in some town, that you come to Bombay, I have this beautiful flat in Bombay, and you come and live with me. And when I die, I'll give this flat to you. Now, the girl used to come to my talks sometimes. Now see how things which are hidden in the subconscious mind, which I feel I'm a very good person, which is hidden. But the situation, when life brings the event, it comes out. So I feel I'm a good person. And she went to stay, she and her husband went to stay with that old lady, and after a few days she gives me a phone. And she's saying, this is what happened, this lady called us to stay, and what's the problem? So she says, no, but since I've come here, I'm getting thoughts of murdering this old lady. Can you see? Now, the situation, that does not mean, idea of murdering somebody was already lying inside me. Can you see it? It is only the situation in life that brought it from the unconscious to the conscious. Unless I am free of that, how will I be free in life? Anyway, the old lady died and whatever, and she called me and she says, now I'm seeing the old lady everywhere. I can't live a normal life. You see? Now, so I said, okay, let's do a small Havan Kund and let's do a Gayatri Mala. Maybe my Guru has said this, so let's do it. And she was cured. But that does not mean the introduction of consciousness. If whatever is good, we are not on the path of good or bad. We are not on the path of positive or negative. We are on the path of freedom. It doesn't make, supposing today something negative has gone from my life, it makes no difference. I am the same mechanical man. What difference has it made? So we keep on saying that this event should be pleasant and unpleasantness should come to me. People come to meet me and they say, okay, I have suffered a lot in life, but I'm coming to you, I'm going to learn this, but I don't want any more suffering. How is it possible? How is it possible? We cannot change the events in life. Events in life can be most horrible. But we are here to learn to be free, and in that you must understand that this truth, this God, whatever we call the absolute, the divine, it is Purna. The negative is also there, the positive is also there. It cannot be half. It cannot be half. And as long as I deny something and accept something, I cannot accept that, because that is total. That is all. And unless I have this openness of expansion of consciousness to grasp the whole, to accept the whole. But as long as there's this inner divisions I keep on making of, I don't want this and I want this, it will not happen. And once we weaken inside and come under the spell of self-pity, what I'm talking about, we have lost something very valuable in life. And this is the state where we just keep on blaming other people and blaming other events, finding fault in everything. That is why I call it an irreparable machine. The machine, now the garage can't do anything to repair it. I'm a mechanic. And maybe the cars come in my garage and I try to help to fit one screw here and say, this is the way you should drive your car on this path. So all sadhana starts from this very deep inner conviction. I cannot change life, I can only change my reactions to life. જીવનને બદલાવી શકતો જ નથી. જીવન પ્રત્યે અંદર મારા જે પ્રતિક્રિયા છે એને જ હું બદલાવી શકું છું. If life keeps on shifting and changing, and it keeps on creating different states from happiness to sadness, and with each state, if I become happy and I become sad, then what has happened? Nothing has changed in life. I'm just a slave. Now, as we understand this, slowly within us something grows. As we do the practices, we understand each event in life, we try to bring in consciousness, we try to separate from the event, we understand this. At least in our intellectual center, we understand this. At least intellectual સમજણ આ વસ્તુ પકડાઈ ગઈ આપણને, તો ધીમે ધીમે અંદર કંઈક બંધાવા માંડશે, કંઈક નવું. Something will crystallize inside. And that is something which can withstand the scenery of life, the pendulum of life, shifting from happiness to sadness, from pain to... And then as life moves from moments of despair, depression to moments of hope, followed by despair again, we remain in our center of gravity. Now we don't shift with the gears of life. જીવન બદલતું જાય પણ આપણે અંદર હવે કંઈક એવું બંધાઈ ગયું છે જે આ જીવનના પવનની સાથે ફૂંકાતું નથી, હવે ખેંચાતું નથી. This is the beginning. હવે કંઈક નવું, something new has been built, something permanent. Now death cannot take that away from us. That is something which has been built within us. And a point will come in our lives where we can hold that point of consciousness to at least that much power inside that we are not bothered whether the next moment is happy or the next moment is sad, whether the next moment is pleasant or the next moment is unpleasant. We have reached that inner state, at least that moment of consciousness, that holding of consciousness where that inner desire for the next moment to bring pleasure has dropped. See, it's one lady, she once phoned me and she's saying that હવે મને અંદર સ્થિરતા આવી ગઈ છે. I'm stable inside. કોઈ પણ હવે શું કહેવાય, there is no desire left in life. I said, very good. Of course, if something like this happens, don't make a loudspeaker over there. Anyway, I said, બેન, તમારો દીકરો ઘરની બહાર જાય છે તો અંદર ક્યાંય તો છુપાયેલું છે કે નહીં કે એને રસ્તામાં કંઈ ખાવું ના જોઈએ? કે હા તો છે. Okay, your son leaves the home deep down. Isn't there a desire that nothing should happen to him on the way? I said, I'm talking about that. Okay, yeah. So, it's very easy to say, okay, I've come to a state where there is no desire, but desires are of different levels. I've divided desire into 4 levels. I think I talked about it last year. I'll just repeat it a little. Ichha, Kamna, Vasana, Trushna. Right? And they reside in our subconscious mind. Ichha, small desires. I see this in a shop, I like it. I'll say I'll buy it after 5 minutes. But after 5 minutes I see something better. So I said, forget this. Right? Ichha. These are small desires. Right? Then it goes a little deep. Kamna. So I go and see something in a shop and I say desire, but maybe I don't have enough money. Paisa nathi. Come back home. But then it goes on in my mind inside. I can't forget it. So I said, Ichha mati kamna no janam. From Ichha, now kamna is born. The second level of desire. Then the third level of desire, Vasana. Vasana means now it has formed its residence inside. It's now love, it's made its home inside. Right? So, whatever I'm doing, it's torturing me all the time. I may be working in office, but again the desire, that shirt you wanted to buy, it comes inside. Right? And it keeps on tormenting me. Now, it doesn't go away. I say, okay, if I don't marry this girl, then it's gone. She's there all the time. Right? And the final is Trushna. Now I've come to a stage where I'm willing to kill, I'm willing to steal, I'm willing to do anything to fulfill my desire. And in this Trushna, suicide is included, the lowest form of Trushna, suicide. Right? So I'm attracted to this girl. That is, in Patanjali we will call it as Rag. And Patanjali says that the deepest place is Abhinivesh, fear of death. Fear of death. But now I'm attracted to this girl And there's so much of attraction that rag has become so big, the attachment has become so big that it overrides my fear of death. And because I don't get this girl, I commit suicide. This is the deepest level of Trishna. 4 levels of desire, they reside in us. આ 4 જાતની આપણી અંદર ઈચ્છા, કામના, વાસના, તૃષ્ણા ઘર કરી દે છે. So we don't realize, we feel that we have no desire, but we have not moved into our subconscious, not moved into the unconscious. So at that point, when we are able to hold that consciousness, and that consciousness comes to a point where we are not worried about the next moment, not even deep down in us, there is no desire that the next moment should bring happiness. That is the moment, that point in time has come when we have started a new journey. Definite inner journey, that point has come. And that is the first feeling of our soul inside, our real I inside. Because the real I is free of happiness or sadness. It is only the false which feels happiness or sadness. And this is the first feeling of it, the first inner touch of that real I for whom we are looking inside. It's the beginning of the birth of real I. It is now not influenced by what is life. This is the beginning of our goal. We are free from life. We have taken a 180-degree turn. First we were hypnotized by life. પેલા જીવનની ઘટનાઓથી hypnotized હતા. હવે કંઈક એવું બની ગયું જેને હવે પરવા જ નથી આવતો ક્ષણ શું આવશે. આને ફકીરી કહેવાય. He's free. They say फिक्र सबको खा गया, फिक्र सबका पीर, जो फिक्र का फाकी बनाए उसका नाम फकीर. The one who is gone. No, you're not worried what the next moment brings. Every moment is now. Try to see which events made me negative today. Which did I identify? How much? When you go to sleep at night, just look through the day and don't look at just the outside events. Asit Chanmad has written a beautiful book, Krishnamurti at 86, The 1,000 Moons. I don't know if any of you have heard Krishnamurti, but I was very fortunate when I was in college. He used to come to Bombay and give 2 lectures every year, and they were in the JJ School of Arts. And for a number of years, we used to listen to Krishnamurti, and it was such a joy to listen to him. Such a joy. One day we take his story. It's a beautiful story, the story of Krishnamurti. And he has written, Asit Chanmad has written in that book, 1,000 Moons, that Krishnamurti every night when he went to bed, he would go through the day once. Go through the day once. And when we go through the day, we go through the outer events. That, oh, I had toast for breakfast and taco for lunch or whatever. Right? But we should go through the inner events too. Did I like the toast? Or when I was eating the toast, was I there or daydreaming about the stock market? Can you see? Can we bring in that inner light that we just go through the events of the day, and with the event, where was I? What was I thinking? Where was my feeling center? Where was my thinking center? Was I brooding? Was I daydreaming? And that will bring an inner light. It will take 5 minutes to do this every day. What events made me negative today? What events hypnotized me completely today? Life is a net which the fisherman throws to catch fish, and the poor fish, they get caught in the net, and we are the poor fish. Life keeps on throwing her net and we get caught, and we are hypnotized. So, at night, ask yourself this question. Each of us will ask, okay, am I still standing, or today did life break me? Did life hypnotize me? What happened today? And if it happened today, it's going to happen tomorrow. But if today I made an effort to be free, then tomorrow again I'll make an effort to be free. Tomorrow is nothing but a repetition of today. It is just a recurrence, punarjana. Can we see that inside of us, we have a whole library of useless emotions, unnecessary emotions. We've gathered so many emotions which have no meaning. એટલા બધા આપણે લાગણીઓ ભેગા કરેલા છે અંદર જેની કોઈ પણ કિંમત નથી. બધાય જો પોટલી બનાવીને આ ક્ષણે આપણે ફેંકી શકતા હોય. We can't. Just imagine the weather is bad and we are upset. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Or the president is bad and we are upset. Or the cricket team has lost and we are upset. Well, what? I mean, we are losing beautiful energy. Can we see what we are losing? That is why I keep on saying, use the rhythmic breathing. Watch the match, enjoy the match, but use the rhythm. Breathe with the rhythm. If the breathing is in rhythm, you won't get so upset. There will be a foundation to separate from that upsetness, and then you won't lose energy, you won't be hypnotized. But we have so many expectations from life. So much is unfinished, so much of unfinished business inside. To still see my son get married and my daughter do this and that and this. And, oh, there's so much of unfinished business. And then we expect to be free of life. It's not possible. We have to drop it. Nobody's desire has been fulfilled till now. We know it. All of us know it. कि कोईनी इच्छा आज सुधी पूरी થઈ નથી, but we are still running behind it. And you go to catch the setting sun, and the more you go closer, the further away it goes. You can never catch the setting sun. You can enjoy the setting sun. And can we see sometimes in life, and this is very typical in the stock market, I used to see it for years, that sometimes we expect so much and what really happens is something totally different. So we never expect what really happens. Now, if we expect something unpleasant to happen, then when it happens, we are a little protected against it. It doesn't affect us so much. And of course, if it doesn't happen, we are relieved. It doesn't happen. But in our expectations from life, that life should be good, and try to see it's people come with a patri. They just see, will my daughter have a good life? And they don't realize that in that very asking, they are asking for something else. Very asking. So in so many unnecessary emotions, of course I had this one guy once, and he sent me one horoscope of one girl. He said, I want to get married to this girl. So he called me the next day. I said, the horoscopes are not matching, but the girl's horoscope is a good horoscope. So if you want a good life, then don't get married. But if you want to do sadhana in life, no harm in getting married. જો સારી જિંદગી જોતી હોય તો ન લગ્ન કરતો, પણ જો સાધના કરવી હોય તો કઈ ફરક નથી પડતું. બધાની અંદર 100 કરોડ તો હોય જ છે. So next day he sent me a telegram that I have decided to do sadhana. After 7 years or so, he met me once, and I asked him, how's it going? He said, you are right, it's very difficult. She's left me and gone to her mother's place. So I said that, make an effort, don't go back, make an effort. Go, try to adjust. There are contradictions, and there's an art of making the contradictions complementary. This is marriage. This is marriage. લગ્નની અંદર વિરોધો છે બે વ્યક્તિ વચ્ચે, પણ એ વિરોધોને અનુકૂળ કેમ બનાવવા? How to make that which is contradictory complementary. That is the art of marriage. It doesn't matter whom you get married to. It doesn't matter. Everybody has some bit of self-love. Everybody has some bit of jealousy. Everybody has some bit of cunningness. It's there. This is the human mind. And to transform that, that is the enjoyment of marriage. Oh, you promised you will never do this and now you are doing this, and then all the problems start. Why did you look at this girl? Attention. God has made attention in such a way that it goes towards beauty. But you have no right. God and a newly married wife are the same thing. A newly married wife wants all attention all 24 hours, and God also wants attention all 24 hours. Only then will you realize God. So that's why I say only a married man can realize God. Not somebody who's worn the orange clothes and not possible. Just to get married. Only then he understands. Newly married, walking along the road, and a beautiful girl comes on the opposite side, and the attention goes, and she gives you one whack. She knows immediately. She knows. And this is how sadhana should be done. Your attention goes. This is called surati, what we call. In the old bhakti language, it was called as surati. The attention goes a little, and God gives you one whack. Go back, send it back. So, if we have these unnecessary emotions, they lead to something which we call as internal considering, inner accounting. And this is the worst state to be in. We cannot be in an even worse state than this. And some people are so deep into this internal considering, they feel as if life is a conspiracy against them. And we don't realize that what we are saying, how it invites the events of life. And it's so, sometimes life teaches you so many lessons. I remember once one person came to meet me, and all he was complaining about was how his father and mother had not allowed him to have enough of opportunities in life. And he says, I cursed my father that he did this and this, and that very moment he got a phone call that his father had died. Now, can you see the relationship between the inner state and the outer event? I mean, this is not a coincidence, but it happened. The inner state and the outer event. And people are complaining all this is pure internal considering. He did not do this for me and she did not do that for me. I consider only myself. And many people have this thing, they say, you purposely did it. You purposely did it. And sometimes they blame God also, that God only put me in this wrong situation. All this is very childish. In the Mahabharata, we have the killing of Shishupal. Childishness, the killing of Shishupal. Shishu means the child. The killing of childishness. And that child has you've not yet killed the inner child. We've not yet killed this inner child. What can change in our life? The same inner child goes to parliament. The body may become 80 years old, but he doesn't want to give his seat to somebody who's younger than him. The inner child holding on to his toy. When he was 6 years, the body was 6 years old, he was saying, I will not give this toy to anyone. And then when he's 80 years old, I will not give my parliament seat to anyone. It's not died, this inner child, Sishupa. There must be, and it is the inner consciousness, the beginning of consciousness, that you kill your inner child. And all this brings suffering, useless suffering in our life. Most of our suffering is useless anyway. And can we see how it weakens the essence? જે જીવ જન્મ લીધું છે એને કંઈક બનવા માટે, કંઈક મુક્ત થવા માટે, એ જીવ જ નબળો પડી જાય છે. The very essence gets. And behind this internal considering, there is always deep emotional, what do you call, frustrations, deep emotional, as if life has not given me anything. Then it uses the intellectual center and we start this inner chattering. It goes on, buck, 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 buck. I did not get this, I did not get that, this should have happened and this did not happen. And sometimes there are pathetic outbursts. People, you meet women of middle age and they come and they listen to 2 or 3 talks or lectures or whatever. And then something comes in them and they say, okay, all my life I've been working for somebody else. So what have you been doing for somebody else? See, I did for my husband, I did for the child, I did for the daughter, I did for the home. Now I want to do for myself. Can you see the internal considering? કે આખું જીવન મેં ભોગ જ આપી દીધું, પતિ માટે ભોગ આપી દીધું, છોકરાઓ માટે ભોગ આપી દીધું, ઘર માટે ભોગ આપી દીધું. This state. Now this is an irreparable machine. Nothing can change over here.
With that example, isn't it that mom considers her duty to have done that? Is it not that a child should expect a mother to nurture the child and then be also a wife to the husband, and then there's so many roles.
But is it a baggage?
But is it an expectation?
What I'm asking is that I'm now 50 years old. Say I'm 60, but I'm 59. But say I'm 50 years old. And I've looked after my husband. I've looked after my children. And now I say that मैं भोग आए कुछ. You know, it's been luggage. I've been lifting this baggage all the time. It's not bhog. You understand what I'm trying to say? Now, I'm complaining about all those years which I did for, which I feel is someone else. And they don't realize that I want to do something for myself. But by complaining, I'm not doing anything for myself. You get what I'm trying to say? The very complaining is killing the jeev inside, killing the soul inside.
So she should have just carried on.
It's not possible. These two things are not possible together. Unless you wake up to this, that whatever I did because I asked for it. I am responsible. If I gave bhog for my husband, if I gave so many years of life for my husband, I asked for it. It is my responsibility. Now I cannot say that he took so many of my years, right? And I lost all that. I should have worked for myself. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Is it by the choices that you make?
Try to see it in the opposite way. Try to see it in the opposite way. That I'm young, I'm on the verge of getting married, and I have all these dreams and ideas and everything about getting married. And we get married, and there is a honeymoon. Of course, everybody has a honeymoon period. Right? Now I forget all that. And at 50, I'm complaining that I wasted my time. I gave bhog. You understand what I'm trying to say? We have not yet come to buffers. I'm going to one day talk about buffers. We build these walls in our mind When I'm on this side of the wall, I cannot see this side. And when I'm on this side of the wall, I cannot see this side. Today I'll be giving you a big lecture on morality. Right? On how good it is and how man should be free of sex and this. I'll give you a big lecture and I'll just go out in my car and I'll see a beautiful actress on a picture board and I'll feel excited. This is a buffer. This is a buffer. Can you see? That when I'm talking, I can't see that person, but that person was inside me. He was inside me. And when I suddenly feel excited, I forgot about the lecture I gave to everybody. So, we don't realize this, but say you're at this point in life where now it is downhill. You're at this point. You have to make a decision. Okay, now I'm through with this, marriage and all, and now can I bring consciousness over here? By complaining, I will just be hypnotized deeper into life. There is no way out of complaining. And start with the very small things in life. Don't go to the big things. Don't say, if somebody dies, I'll be separate. Don't say that. Start with the small things. Say it's our birthday coming. Birthday. Right? And we are looking forward to celebrate this birthday. Right? And it could be anything. Someone I really care about. Someone I love. Right? And I say, you must come for my birthday. And supposing he or she cannot come. Can you see how the event is hypnotizing me? Or forget that, it rains very heavily on my birthday. Then of course God is the conspirator. He chose only my birthday. Couldn't find any other day. And now I feel sad about this. I feel upset about this. I start complaining about this. My inner monkey goes on and on about this. Can you see where it is leading me? Just because he did not come for my birthday. Now, we can start with the small things in life, no? Just, right? He did not treat me rightly. Maybe I came in and he had not put my chair over here. Now the monkey starts. And all these emotions are useless. They have no meaning at all. Or I may then, and then just from that small incident that he did not put my chair over here, I'll now come, this, and then I'll say that nobody cares for me, and everybody is this, and then I may start bringing out 20-year-old records when somebody did the same thing with me. Of course, I was looking forward to my birthday. And then we put on a bright face outside. Yeah, I'm okay, nothing has happened. It does not matter outside. To see inside. But inside the feeling continues. The chattering continues. Old records come up. And where people have treated us in the same way in the past. And then we are stuck in this vicious, this swamp, this gutter of the mind we are stuck in. This is what we call internal considering. We are considering only ourself and no one else. And we are making accounts against everybody else. He did not come for my birthday, I am now making accounts against him. And practice this in the small events in life. You miss the bus. You're running to the lift and somebody closes the door. Right? Just start practicing this in small events in life. You want to meet someone, maybe you want to meet your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and then she calls, I have to go shopping with my mother. Starts. In small events. Or maybe you wanted to see this movie so badly, but all the friends went without you. Right? Or maybe on that, only the day you had to go to see the movie, the boss called up, okay, please come in office and do this work. Small things in life, but they lead to so much of unnecessary waste of emotional energy. And don't think that this is just about life. આ ખાલી જીવનની વાત નથી. It goes in ashrams also. And they've come to the ashram to be free of this. But they'll say, the guru called this fellow, he did not call me. Internal considering myself. So unless we wake up to a higher level of consciousness, જ્યાં સુધી જાગૃતિ નથી આવતી, આમાંથી મુક્તિ નથી મળતી. We cannot be free of this. We must wake up. And don't think that humanity can wake up, because this is the biggest disease in humanity. The whole of humanity is suffering from this disease called internal consciousness. It is that one man, the one woman who can wake up, who work on themselves. Now take another person. There are some people you will see in your life you like to avoid. You like to avoid. કે ભાઈ આની પાસે નહીં જતા. You know, you see him walking on your, then you go out the back door of your home. પાછલા દરવાજે રહી ગયા. Now why do you avoid him or her? Why are you avoiding him? Try to see. And supposing I feel that people are avoiding me, then what happens in that state? I feel that everybody is treating me badly. They're not treating me properly. And I hold this grievance inside. I hold this wound inside that people are not treating me badly. Anybody who has a grievance against anything, મને કંઈ પણ અંદર વાંધો હોય, ક્યાંય પણ ગવર્મેન્ટ સાથે, with anything, any kind of grievance, then I'm in internal consideration. I'm internally with the government, with the weather, with some committee, with this, any kind of inner grievance, then I am considering internally.
Rajan Bhai, if you say you shouldn't avoid anybody, but there are people that just are so negative and always criticize and bringing you down. And if you try and avoid people like that because they when you meet up with them, they just kind of upset you.
No, I'm not saying not avoid him. I say go into it, see what you dislike in the person.
Yeah, but if you know what you dislike,
you don't know.
And if you avoid that person, is it wrong?
At present, avoid him. But come to a state where you can change that dislike into like.
It's not a matter of disliking the person. It's just that there's so much of negativity in that person that you just feel.
I'm going to digress. Can you see? Supposing there is a home. There's a home with say 100 rooms in it. Right? And you are the owner of the home. You are the owner of the home. ઘર છે, મોટું ઘર છે, પણ હું માલિક છું. Right? Now you have one main servant who looks after everything. And we call that servant as ego. We call that servant as ego. He is the main boss of everything. He looks after the home. Now, in this 100-room home, there are so many rooms where for years you may not have gone. Maybe for a lifetime you have not gone. Right? And if that Mr. Ego, who is your person in charge, if he wants to hide something from you, He's going to put it in one of those rooms. Right? He's going to put it in one of those rooms. Right? Now, if something came out of that room by mistake, and you are coming there and this ego is over here and something came out of that room, what would that Mr. Ego do? What would he do? What would he do? Huh? He would run, take that thing, and before you come into that area, try to put it back in the room and close the door so the owner can't see it. Has it answered your question? Has it answered your question?
To a point, yeah.
Anything we dislike and intensely dislike lies in the darkest corner of our subconscious or unconscious minds.
So if
I cannot dislike another person, I can only dislike that which is in myself. Can you get what I'm trying to say? You know, it's not a many times certain experiences happen in life. And when the experience is new, you know, you are completely in that experience. And you like to, torture other people a little. You understand what I'm trying to say? Sometimes you see the truth of everything. And in those days, when everything was very new, you see, truth happens. But for the blood to absorb that truth, for the inner skin to absorb that truth, it takes years. Truth happens in a flash. And those in between years, there's a lot of indigestion. Because that truth has happened in a flash, and you're so full of it that you want to take a sword and make everybody understand what it is about. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, one of the tricks I used to really love was to talk about something which I knew the other person disliked. Right? And in those initial days, a lot of my camps were in Jain temples. And so, the Jain Muni we would sit and talk, and then I would bring out something about food. And you would go, this, right? I'd say, see, this intense dislike means I like it intensely also. This we cannot see. This we cannot see. That which we dislike intensely, we like it as much. This we cannot see. And that is because it's lying in one corner of our house where we have never entered, maybe for lifetimes. But it's lying over there. Now can you see that person whom I dislike, as soon as he comes in my home, this fellow, the ego inside, what does he think? What does he think? He thinks something has come out of the room which he has hidden from me. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? He thinks something has come out of that room. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? And he says, get rid of this person, avoid this person, go out of the back door. And that is the moment where you have to confront yourself that I don't dislike him, I dislike myself. And if I can see what I dislike in the other person, I'll be free of that within myself.
Rajan, I'm not talking about disliking that person. It's just that when people, the negative, there's so much of negativity about a person that whenever you meet that person, yeah, the only thing that comes out is this negativity. So, is it wrong to just avoid, because otherwise you're just going to...
Doesn't avoid, but what I'm trying to say is that you are only avoiding yourself.
So you need to confront it.
Sometimes you have to be free of it. Supposing a person is repeating the same thing. Say my mother. My mother is more than 80 years old. Right? So she will ask me 10 times, have you had lunch? Right? Now, anyone will feel irritated. But I understand one thing, I can only feel irritated if irritation is lying within me. If I am free of irritation, then I cannot feel irritated. I can only see her concern for me. Can you understand?
No, I understand.
Now, supposing I'm talking to her on the phone, now, she's a little hard of hearing. So I'll say something, but she may have understood something.
It's also more an acceptance.
Yeah, but you find people who keep on repeating, who keep on telling the same story.
I don't know.
Right? From one story they'll come out of another story, and from another, and you're sick of it. But you have to understand that I can only be sick of it if sickness is lying within me. I am on the path of freedom. I am not on the path of avoiding. I can understand if there is some, body harm or something. Then we avoid that person. If the person... See, initially when we start on this path, we are very receptive. We are in a state where small things can affect us. And that is the time when we protect ourselves. We don't go there. We go out of the back door. Because initially we have to protect ourselves. We have just started walking on this path. Everything is very new. We are trying to take our attention inside. And if somebody I dislike comes in, then my attention is going to be pulled outside. Now my attention, I have not yet made it steady also inside. I cannot hold it. I cannot see what thoughts, what emotions I am passing through all the time. My attention goes in and it goes out. So this is a receptive state. Now I have to work on this. Now if somebody like this comes, then I am going to be hypnotized by him immediately. So initially we run away from such a state. But we remember inside that at one point we want to be free of that state also. You get what I am trying to say? Because then we come to a state that, okay, now let him come. I am holding my attention inside. And I'll see what is it I dislike in a person. And many times we'll be shocked that what we dislike in another person is very, very insignificant. Like I've talked about this before, one of the exercises was to see things in a scale, which Taoyaji used to keep on insisting, please see in scale, please see in scale. So the minute I dislike her, I start seeing her in scale. Okay, she's very good at her job. She looks after her home so well. Right? She's very clean in her things. So in all this, what do I dislike? What do I dislike about her? Can you see what I'm trying to say? And then when you see things in scale, in a bigger scale, then our dislike has a very small. Can you see that just this one word, dislike, is the cause of all evils on the earth? Something I dislike about you is the cause of all violence. I may not like the way you cut your hair, so I'll say you must wear a burqa. Right? Or I may not like the milk you drink, so I say you must not have animal milk. You understand what I'm trying to say? Any dislike is the cause of violence. Only that person can be non-violent who is free of dislike. Now there is no dislike in life. There are preferences. I may prefer to eat potato instead of brinjal. But I don't dislike brinjal. I'll eat it with the same love that I eat with potato. Only, and this is the biggest step we can take to be free of disliking. And that is why in Gurdjieff's study house he had these different sayings written on his study house. And one of them, like what it dislikes. જ્યાં સુધી અંદર અણગમો છે ત્યાં સુધી હિંસા જ છે. હિંસા અને અણગમો આ બંને જો સાથે જાય, બંને સાથે જ જાય. અણગમો છૂટે તો જ હિંસા જાય. અને કોઈ પણ અંદર અણગમો રહી ગયો, any kind of dislike, if it is left inside, violence is there. Then violence is lying within me. But initially, when you're walking this path, you're trying to hold the attention inside, then move away from someone you dislike, because he will take away all your attention. He'll take away all your attention. Then come to a state where you start working with dislikes. Take it from another angle. Can you see that which I dislike hypnotizes me? That which I dislike, I'm totally a slave to that which I dislike. Whether it is in food, whether it is a person, whether it is a situation, whether it is a religion. What I dislike, I am a slave to that. And at a point, if I can turn that dislike into like, there is freedom. Absolute freedom. This is moksha. Just turning that dislike into like. It's a big step. So, Jesus has a beautiful this thing there. The mote that I see in thy brother's eye is thine own. The mote, the anger, that negativity which you see in the other is thine own. You get it? I see in you, I dislike you, but it's my own. What I dislike in you is my own. It cannot be anything else. I'll talk later, we'll go deeper into internal considering, because I want to talk about what is fair and unfair. Fair, we have these big ideas of you treat me unfairly. Right? Nyaya and anyaya. Anyaya nathi. And everything is nyaya. Everything that happens is nyaya. It cannot be otherwise. Everything is fair. Nothing unfair happens in the universe. So I want to take that later on, but let's see tomorrow if we can continue on internal considering, or we'll go back to where we left on the impressions. I just wanted to take this in between, because what impression are we giving ourselves? And this is the lowest impression we can give ourselves, where I'm accounting against her, that she treated me badly. She treated me. It's an inner accounting which I'm doing, and that is the lowest I can fall. That, nobody bothers about me, nobody phoned me, nobody looks after me, nobody cares for me. In life, I never got any opportunity. This is the lowest I can fall. So I just wanted to take this. We'll stop over here.
Sir, can I ask you a
Yeah.
question? If one knows of someone living in blame, how do we help that person?
It's very difficult to help a person unless he wants to be helped. There must be some window through which we can talk. But there's this beautiful Zen story where the king's son, he imagined that he had become a cock, a hen. And he started walking like a hen and acting like a hen. And the king didn't know what to do. So he called all the wise men and he said that you cure my son. And all the wise men tried everything and nobody could do anything. He still would sit and eat like a hen, peck his food and, you know. Then one Zen master came. So the Zen master said, I'll cure him. So he was sitting under the table, the king's son. So he went under the table and he says, you are a hen, I am also a hen. All these other people, they are mad. The human beings are mad. Then he said that, after a few days he said that, now let's imitate human beings a little. Instead of eating food like a hen, why don't we eat like them, just to imitate them. We are not them, but let us imitate them. So it is possible. And slowly he brought out that son of the king. It is possible. But you have to move couple of steps with that person.
Now, what happens if this person has cut himself completely off everything else?
Yeah, I don't understand.
This person who's in that state of blaming everything else, but at the same time, this person has cut himself off from you. In other words, he doesn't have contact with you.
Yes, so go to him and start blaming everyone. Start walking with him. Start blaming everyone. Just find out what he blames and you also start blaming that. I am you, I am not different from you.
Now, this is what I'm asking is actually happening today. I've contacted this person. In the past, this person did not know me at all. Or he didn't. He would just, when I used to phone him, he would just put the phone down. Then what happened once, about 3 months ago, he picked up the phone again. Then I asked him, how are you, how's things? He realized it was me, but he didn't put the phone down. This person actually was happy to hear my voice at that moment. Same time I phoned this person today again. And this person, like you said, is blaming everybody else, except not realizing that what you said today comes from inside.
But you talk in his language. Talk in him.
Actually blame me as well. And I said, yes, I realized I did not help you at this particular moment when you are looking for help. But please realize that at that moment I couldn't help you. But he is saying that when I needed your help, you didn't help me. So I blame you. I said, okay, fine, I accept that. So I will take this further. How do I take it further?
Sit with him, right? And say, I am to blame and I have done this so many times in my life. Now you help me to come out of this. So next time I don't do this with anybody else. See, observing different people's homes. Now one of the points of contention is the wife talks about the mother-in-law and the husband does not like it. You understand what I'm trying to say? So there's always a struggle. Now, if the husband wants to get something done from the wife, the easiest way is talk about the mother. Walk 2 places with her. And then slowly bring out what you want to get done by her. And she'll do it. She won't even realize it. But how can you talk about my mother like this? Then everything's a problem. You get what I'm trying to say? To walk with the person. See, for years I worked with these drug addicts. I walked with them. What did you use today? Did you use an upper? Did you use a lower? How did you mix it? Where did you take the injection? There's no place on your body to take the injection.
So what you're saying, at that moment, don't blame them.
Don't blame them. Walk with them. Walk with them. That doesn't mean I have to take drugs. But I can act as if I'm taking drugs. You know? You get what I'm trying to say? And then slowly we build a friendship and we start talking and helping them out of it. Only thing, it was consuming too much of my time, which was slowly becoming scarce. So then it stopped at one point in time. But for 10 years I did work with them. You have to move with them. You can't talk about anything else.
Patience is also needed for them.
Okay, we'll stop over here. We'll continue this subject later. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna. Good night.